What's going on, everybody? Thanks to those joining me live and to those that will be joining me on archive. DStyleBoxing here. Thumbs up the video. Hit the notifications button. Do it now. That way, every time D-Style comes on live, it's always around this time at night. Okay, give or take. Never at an exact time. But hit it that way you know when D-Style's on and when he's live so you can listen. Right? That's why you do it. Okay? Hit the notifications button. If you're watching an archive, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Right? The chat is open. I don't know how long this video is going to be. It just depends on the chat, I guess. But I want to make a couple of points, and then I'll go to the chat. Right? So I listened to some. I haven't gotten to the whole thing yet. But I'll listen to the collab that he did with Dan the Man, but Blood Boxing with Dan the Man. I haven't finished listening to that yet, but I did listen to Blood Boxing's video regarding Deontay Wilder. Basically, let me pull up the title of the video. Okay, the video is titled "Deontay Wilder compared to Mike Tyson, further explained by Era." All right, that's the name of the video. Good video. Check it out. All right, check out. If you're not, you likely are, but if you're subscribed to me, but if you're not, make sure you subscribe to Blood Boxing. Now check it out. Okay. Here's just something I wanted to add. Okay, first of all, I think it's a great video, but it's something I want to add. Right, and I don't really have to touch much on their level of opposition, the opponents they fought, much, because it's already covered in this video, and I don't really disagree with much, if anything. But I do want to say this, and this goes to everybody out there, right? Like, all bullshit aside, you cannot use BoxRec for everything. There are certain things BoxRec is not going to tell you, all right? There's just certain things BoxRec will not tell you, right? You can gauge stuff. You can look at people's records. You can see all types of stuff. But BoxRec, it's only so much information that it gives you, right? And not only, especially right now, I mean, Wilder's not done with his career, but not only does Tyson's resume just dwarf Wilder's, okay? And Tyson doesn't even have one of the best resumes in boxing history or anything like that, okay? But I mean, it doesn't compare to Muhammad Ali, for example, right? But nonetheless, we're just comparing these two. Not only does it dwarf it, like here's something on top of that, right? And this is where you can't really look at guys' records and stuff like that. And this is strictly my opinion, but I feel very strongly about this, right? I think this can be backed up very easily. The heavyweight division in Tyson's era was just far better in general. It was just far better than the heavyweight division today. No offense to the heavyweight fighters today, but the heavyweights of Mike Tyson's era were just far better fighters, far better athletes. They were just superior athletes. Okay, it was maybe the beginning of when a lot of our big guys, right, were going to the NFL and the NBA and to our more popular sports now. It may have been the beginning, but we still had an influx of a lot of heavyweights in the United States, right? And the reality is, right, one of the best heavyweights today is an American called Deontay Wilder. And Wilder was a guy that picked up the sport extremely late. Joshua is a guy that picked up the sport extremely late. Joshua is just a natural athlete that picked up the sport late, and now he's arguably the best heavyweight in the world. Okay, I'm not taking anything away from Joshua. I'm a fan of his. I enjoy watching him fight. All right, but you couldn't just pick up the sport late, okay, in the 80s, all right, and just, just because you're an athletic guy, can become heavyweight champion. That's not the way it worked in those days. All right, because just about everybody was a great athlete. Right, just about everybody. You know where our best athletes are now? They're in the NFL. Okay, that's where they are now. Boxing, it's a lot of, like I said, that was the beginning stage when that started to happen. But I'm telling you, you can't compare the athletes. You just can't. All right, I'm sorry. You get a Razor Ruddock today. Okay, Razor Ruddock, call me crazy. He's the heavyweight champion of the world right now. I honestly believe that. Now you may think, nah, but he lost to so and so and so. Razor Ruddock fought in a damn good era. The level of competition was just at a whole nother level, right? Some of the guys that people think weren't shit in Tyson's resume compared to some of the other names he has would be pretty tough names today. I honestly believe that. Like if Anthony Joshua picked up the sport at the same age in 1982, okay, he's just not as successful. It's not even close, right? It's just not even close. Deontay Wilder doesn't pick up the sport at the late age that he did, right, and become, a heavyweight champion. I don't believe that. I don't believe he would. I'm not taking anything away from these guys, right? I still think they're great athletes and all that, and I have a lot of respect for them, but I'm comparing them, right, to another era, which I just believe is just a superior era, right? A lot of people talk like Tyson's era was weak, and you could say whatever you want. Like at the end of the day, boxing in general, I'm not talking specifically and especially the heavyweight division, Like NFL football didn't take away a lot of welterweights, okay? But it took away a lot of heavyweights, and even given the fact that the heavyweight division moved to 200 pounds, it took away a lot of great cruiserweights and light heavyweights. Okay, make no mistake about it. The National Football League took away a lot of what could have been potentially great fighters today, right? This is it's a different era. I get that, right? People will look at BoxRec and they're going to make comparisons, and yeah, but Wilder fought a guy with this record, and yeah, but like the people in Wilder's resume, right? Like I'm sorry to tell you, they fought in an easier era than the guys that Tyson fought. The ladder was just harder to climb back then. Back then, if you were a top 10 heavyweight, you could fucking thump. That's it. Like you could take a top 10 heavyweight from the 80s, and he would easily be a champion today. Okay, like I'm not impressed with that. Like a lot of people want to act like they're impressed with like Luis Ortiz. And look, I'm not shitting on Ortiz, and I make jokes about his blood pressure problem and all that. But a dude with high blood pressure would not be a contender in the 80s. It wouldn't happen. Okay, it just wouldn't happen. But that aside, I don't believe my eyes deceive me. And there's a thing called the eye test. And I'm telling you, when I look at heavyweights today, I'm just not that impressed. All right. If I compare them to the heavyweights of the 80s, if we're talking about specifically those two eras, right? I mean, I wouldn't even dare bring up the 70s. Okay, we're not even going to go there. But because to me, that's the best era in heavyweight boxing history. But I mean, even the 90s. I mean, the 90s had far better heavyweights than we do today. It's not even funny. A prime Tommy Morrison, in my opinion, is a title holder right now, easily. Who's going to beat Tommy Morrison? Like what? I mean, you could argue Joshua, and who else? Maybe Wilder. I don't think he does. I think Morrison knocks him out. That's my opinion, but I believe that. I think Morrison knocks out Povetkin. juiced up and all. It doesn't matter. And yeah, I know. On the 90s, this it's kind of known as an era where a lot of these dudes were juicing, and the tests weren't as advanced as they are today. I get all that, but steroids and they don't give you skills. Okay, like that's not developed. Okay, you can still look at the skills of these fighters and just see that they were just far better fighters, right? Especially in the heavyweight division. Especially, okay? Especially. Right now, it's like anything else. It's like anything else. All right. Anyway, it's like comparing, a team from, like, I don't know, the Big Ten or some shit, okay, to like a junior college team. All the junior college team, they're 4-0. This other team's 2-2. Well, yeah, but they're playing different levels of football here, and that's how I feel it is when people look at BoxRec. Oh, well, Wilder beat these guys with good records, and I'm just like, yeah, but these dudes fought in a crap. I'm sorry to say it. If we compare it to other eras, it's not the best heavyweight era ever. It just isn't, right? I'm sorry. Like, I believe he was, but Malik Scott was undefeated when Wilder fought him, right? And look, I'm not taking away his win, even though a lot of people say Malik Scott took a dive. But I get that. But who did Malik Scott fight? It's when I see a heavyweight with like 20 plus wins, right? Like, just in general, I honestly wondered to myself, like, well, how good could those 20 guys have been? It's not like the heavyweight division is stacked with unbelievable talent. Okay. Again, I don't want to sound like I'm bashing the heavyweight division or I'm belittling the athletes of the heavyweight division today, but I'm comparing it to another era. And to me, like, in all honesty, there is no comparison. It's laughable to me. It just is. All right. It is just laughable to me. Right. So why did the heavyweight division fall apart? And there's a lot of reasons for that. Okay. One, I already mentioned it, and it's the main reason. Okay. The best heavyweight athletes are going to the NFL, to the NBA. They're going to more popular sports, right? And that's where kids are going. That's where kids are watching. Okay, kids are not watching boxing growing up. Okay, boxing hid itself away on pay-per-view on HBO, where a very small percentage of people watched it. And this is a poor man's sport. And he took away the biggest breeding ground of boxing was the poor, and he took it away from them. And you let only the people that are well off to be able to watch it. So of course you alienated a huge fan base, and in turn, less inspired kids that wanted to be the next heavyweight champion of the world when they were growing up. That's just the truth. And then on top of that, you add the reality that science advanced and we had a better understanding of pugilistic dementia, the long-term effects of boxing, and it's not pretty. It's just not pretty. So less and less people started putting their kids into boxing, right? Like, less and less people. When I was a kid, there was several boxing gyms that they would go put kids in. Okay, and in the weekends they would go have them do like 2-rounders and shit, like for 2 minutes or whatever. Okay, just kids sparring with like big ass gloves and all, but they would still go sparring. They don't do that today. Shit, kids aren't even allowed to play outside for fucking, or in the backyard by themselves for 5 minutes. Okay, right? It's a crazy. It's just kids today are just too spoiled to be boxers. All right, but anyway, and then now football. Well, the reality is coming out of football, the long-term brain damage of football, right? You best believe that's going to have somewhat of an effect And it's not going to happen overnight, but over the few decades, you're going to see that lasting effect. All right. It's like in boxing, it didn't happen overnight. Like we knew about the damage of boxers that boxers take since the 50s, and then it expanded through the 60s. And by then, a lot of dudes were already growing up as boxers or as huge boxing fans. Okay, but as the 80s came along, the 90s came along, and then if you notice, it's kind of like it's just out of nowhere. We just didn't have any up and rising American boxers, in the heavyweight division. Just literally out of nowhere. Like for a while, Tony Thompson was our best fucking heavyweight, right? Right now, Deontay Wilder is arguably our best. He is our best heavyweight in the U.S. It's a dude that picked up the sport late, right? I mean, that's who our heavyweight champion is right now. The same for Joshua picked up the sport late. It's. I don't even know what Joshua's athletic background is, to be honest with you. What is it? What was he doing before? Right? So anyway, let me go ahead and bring up the chat real quick. If nobody has shit to say, then I'm gonna get my ass out of here, right? Now I don't know if how many people know this, but let me go ahead and bring this up here. Rascal 52, I agree. Tommy would kill Wilder, bro. That's a fact. Well, it's not a fact, but I agree. Right? Live life with a Y. Do you think your boxing eye and mind is more refined now versus the superhero eye of youth? Well, it definitely is, because I rewatched a lot of fights that I scored as a fanboy. Some of my favorite fighters, and they were a lot closer than I thought. Wrestler 222. Chris Sariola. Well, Chris Sariola was a #1 contender several times, AJ 10, Wilder can be undisputed champion and still can't compare to the resume of fighters of the 90s. Well, here's the thing, okay? Resume is a funny word. Okay? Resume, can he compare the resume? Well, he kind of can, right? Like if he has so many title defenses, if he captures all the belts, like that's part of a resume, right? I'm undisputed champion. I defended the title X amount of times. That's part of a resume. You can match that resume with someone else. You can even break those records with somebody else. But what we need to do is that's one way to look at things, and I'm not saying those things should be discounted, because they shouldn't, right? And I believe it's what you mean. We should be able to judge, right, the overall, competition and level of competition, I should say, of boxers that were fighting at that time, right? And to me, the easiest division you could do it in is heavyweight. It's the easiest division. It's like there's some divisions where you can say, yeah, it's like I honestly believe to this day I wonder if Floyd Mayweather wasn't like a little dude, starting because he started at 130 in his career. He was a little dude, right? But would he have been a boxer? Would he have picked up another sport if it was like a 6'4", 230-pound dude? Would he have stayed as a boxer, or would he have gone for another sport? There's no way we can know that. That's just, but the likelihood is he would have gone for another sport, even though his dad, was a boxer himself. I still think he would have gone to another sport. Just kind of like other children of former, boxers, great boxers of the past, like Norton's son, for example, was playing in the NFL. Like so in the lower weight classes, my point is, right, since boxing has weight classes, we've even had like that you could argue is the featherweight division comparable to what it was 50 years ago. Well, to me, it is, right? It honestly is. Welterweight, can you compare it? Like to me, that this I wouldn't agree that welterweight today compares to welterweight of like the 90s, but you can still argue it to me. To me, in the heavyweight division, honest to God, I don't think it's debatable. I just don't. It's unless you want to really reach, unless you really want to reach, then hey. Rascal said 38 bums, 38 mechanics, and substitute teachers. Okay. All right, AJ10, the 10th on the Golden State Warriors is more known than the boxing heavyweight champion to kids watching sports. By 10th, like you mean like the very last player that made the Warriors team? It would like I'm not a big basketball guy. You gotta like break this down for me, right? I'm guessing it's a dude off the bench, right? 10th man. All right. Is that true though? Like, who is it? I don't know who that is. But then again, I don't watch basketball like that. And then again, I'm a big boxing fan. So, who is the 10th man of the Warriors? Like, who is that guy? I don't know who he is. Who is he? Now, when did the Super Bowl start in the NFL? Started around the 60s, right? So, if you look at the 60s and then anyone who in their 20s would have been boxing in the 70s, all right, would have been born like in 50-ish, maybe late 40s, 50s. So football hadn't been around that long, so there was still a lot of boxing gyms. So I can see why the 70s was as stacked as it was. Okay. And then because it was as stacked as it was, all right, and because it wasn't hidden away from the public, while there was, I believe, a slight decline in the number of great athletes going to boxing, there was still a lot of them. And that's what you had in the 80s, okay? And then it's almost like the last of the great athletes, whatever was left, actually went to boxing in the 90s. And then in the 2000s, we just really didn't have anything, and till this day. We're picking up, like they're doing things where they pick up, guys that didn't make it to the NFL and stuff like that. And they're great athletes, but they haven't boxed a day in their life. They look awkward in the gym. They don't have the muscle memory. That their mechanics aren't there. So it's some of them work out, some don't. But what are you going to do? That was just me thinking out loud. But there you go. What did the football hit high school? I have no idea, bro. But well, hold on. Actually, I don't. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't. I'm sure football was in high school for a long time, but when did it become what it is today, where it's high school football is a business? I mean, they make money out of it. I don't know when that started. I wouldn't know, to be honest. It's a great question. How would an old version of George Foreman do in today's heavyweight scene? The old version. Well, here's my thing about the old version of George Foreman. Okay. Here's my thing. If we're honest, like if we're honest, right? If he doesn't land a knockout blow on Moore, okay, like we would look back and remember it as a old George Foreman that, like we would just look at it like you know, like he had a late run, but he was just too old to get anything done. Like that's how we would look at it, you know. He had a lot of great fights, but he would come up like against Holyfield. He came up short. But if we compare him to like how he would do today, with the right game plan, I honestly believe Joshua beats him with the right game plan. But he's dangerous. I think he beats most of them for sure. But if I'm honest, and this is not going to be popular, but I would favor Joshua to beat him. I'm not saying if George doesn't clock him, okay, with a straight, he will knock him out. He would, but especially with the way Klitschko got him. But I'm not too convinced, you know, on older George Foreman was as good as people make him out to be. You know, I think even though I don't like the guy, I gotta agree with Moore. I gotta agree with him. He got lucky. Like I honestly believe, you know, like everybody wants to believe George Foreman saying, "Oh, he set him up and this that." Like, maybe luck. Luck is a strong word, all right? But he was very fortunate to land that shot. Okay, but that shot he landed on Moore, okay, it gave people a lot of revisionist history about the second run of George Foreman. I'm not saying he was bad. I'm not saying he was terrible, but it's not as impressive as people make it out to be, right? Is it impressive in the sense that he was a man in his early to mid 40s, competing against younger opposition? Sure, of course. This is a guy that was heavyweight champion in the 70s. Of course, in that way, it's impressive, but I don't know. A lot of people say that he would have beaten Mike Tyson. I don't agree. I just don't. I think Mike Tyson was just too fast for George Foreman at that age, Just saying. You probably trace a decline in talent there. Well, I would imagine pro football would have to gain some popularity for kids to grow up wanting to play football and for there to be a rise in some type of rise. But I'm pretty sure, though, because I know I have a cousin that graduated in the early 80s, and he was in a football team in high school. But I'll have to look back and see. Who knows? Ben Umar says, well, before that, Agent 10 said, yeah, that was a perfect shot. Talking about Foreman landing on Moore. Ben Umar follows up, there's no such thing as luck in boxing, only skill, preparation, timing, and probability. It's a fair statement. Can't really argue with that. But one could be a little fortunate, You get fortunate in boxing, but yeah, luck's a strong word. But I'm not taking away Foreman's win. But let's be honest, he was getting destroyed by Moore before it ended that shot, right? Like I'm just saying, right? It's like I'm not trying to turn it into a George Foreman bash fest. I'm not, but the way people remember old George, right, is a lot different to how it would have been if he didn't knock out Moore. And I understand that's like my uncle didn't have balls, he'd be my aunt or something. Like I get that, okay, or it's vice versa. But anyway, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. But anyway, I get that. But I'm just saying, it's amazing how that one punch I don't know. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. Not everybody agrees with me. So, like, I don't buy I just don't buy it. I do not believe that George Foreman would have beaten Mike Tyson. You know, there's some channels out there that have made that argument, but I don't agree with that. Right? I just don't. And I think they're basing that off of how he performed against Moore. You know, I'm just saying. Age of 10, Anthony Joshua was a sprinter and soccer player before boxing. Well, hopefully, he should get. Well, he's got to get that stamina thing going because he was getting a little tired in the middle rounds against Klitschko. But you know, he's got to start running a little more. I don't know. I don't know what he has to do, but it's kind of. He was a sprinter and a soccer player, and he's built like that. That's crazy. That's not your typical soccer player physique. Maybe the legs, but I don't know about the upper body. And then I don't know. He just looks too bulky to me for a sprinter. But hey, maybe he just bulked up when he took up boxing. Who knows? There's no way to know. But I'm not a nutritionist. But some people have theorized that he has too much muscle mass. That, you know, maybe he lost that muscle mass. He wouldn't be as good. Who fucking knows? I don't know. All right, I got a question by Ben Omar. So let me ask you a question, Style. My favorite fight of all time, Juan Manuel Marquez KO'd Pac-Man with one shot, and I hear is luck from idiots, and I content. It was, I guess it comes down to timing, right? I think that's what you meant. Look, this is how you know a shot was not lucky, right? Now, do I believe that Marquez landed that right hand with intentions of knocking out Pacquiao? I don't know. Okay. I don't think that was the intention, right? There's an old saying in boxing, if the knockout comes, it comes, right? And I think Marquez fought that way, in fairness, right? But the punch landed was not lucky, right? Marquez landed way too many right hands on Pacquiao. Way too many to call any right hand he lands lucky, right? The punch landed, the punch was timed, and Pacquiao's circuit went out. Okay, there's just no, and the circuit went out because of the punch that landed, and that's it. All right, like at the end of the day, that's it. All right, if you don't want to get knocked out like that, then you shouldn't be getting hit like that. Right. Also, the way Pacquiao lunged at Marquez provided a lot of the momentum. You know, he provided a lot of that momentum, and I think that's part of the reason why. But it was not a lucky shot. It was a perfectly timed shot, and Marquez had been landing right hands on Pacquiao all day since the third round of the first fight. There's no reason to believe that any right hand he lands would be lucky, right? But there you go. That was checkmate. That's what that was. Joshua bulked up in his early 20s, his age of 10. Oh, there you go. Age of 10. I think when Marquez calculated the punch, but there's no way he knew he would end the fight like that. Pacquiao literally ran into the punch. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that's basically what happened. Now, like I said, there's an old saying. The saying is, if the knockout comes, it comes, right? And the theory, if you want to call it a theory, right? I don't throw the word theory around, but the theory is land a clean punch. And now, if you don't knock the guy out, that's fine. But just land a clean punch. And but the knockout came. Okay, so that means since the if the knockout comes, it comes. So here's the thing: the knockout came. So that means that Juan Manuel Marquez saw, Juan Manuel Marquez came, and Juan Manuel Marquez conquered. Right? Anyway. Yeah, it's kind of I will say this. Pacquiao ran into the punch. That's he did. Okay. It's kind of crazy how he did. Like it's Pacquiao made a lot of mistakes in the ring. Like, it's crazy how many mistakes he would make, but he would get away with it, right? Pacquiao would get away with a lot of mistakes, right? And I'm not saying that to bash the guy. That's actually, believe it or not, it's a compliment, okay? Because he would make a lot of quote-unquote mistakes in the ring, things you shouldn't do, and he would get away with it, okay? Pacquiao learns like that in a lot of his fights. But it would catch dudes off guard, or they would land, but they wouldn't knock him out, though. And then he'd start throwing a shitload of punches at him. It would overwhelm him. But in this case, it caught up to him. You know? It caught up to him hardcore. Like, it caught up to him, like, for real. Exactly. Checkmate, says Ben Omar. AJ10, he's not getting up, Jim. One of the best calls in the last 10 years. Mejia says Pacquiao Marquez fights were classic. You know, I would love to score the rest of them, but YouTube is giving me a hard time for scoring fights, man. It's for those wondering why you're scoring the fights, because they're giving me a hard time about it, right? I have to change the status of my channel. It was just a pain in the ass, and it's a pain in the ass I don't want. Like, you know, I don't got time for that shit. Like, fuck that. I'll let shit calm down, and then I'll get back to scoring fights. But anyway, moving on. Back to he's not getting up, Jim. You know what? That there is just organic, you know? Like Roy Jones wasn't trying to come up with a catchphrase. Like, you know, like he literally just told the truth. Right? He's not getting up, Jim. He ain't getting up. You know? I mean, obviously the emotion's high. You just saw a great knockout. And he followed up with the, oh, you know, but that was great. And he's not getting up, Jim. He ain't getting up. That right there was, well, first of all, I think everybody kind of knew that. But if anybody knows even more, like that dude ain't gonna get up. It's someone who has been in the ring like his whole life, you know, and so how fitting it is that he was the first one out of everybody in the announce team to call it. You know, I still don't know what Jim Lampley was saying, but I'm not sure why Roy Jones just directed that at Jim Lampley. I believe it was maybe cutting off Jim Lampley, because at that moment there was only one thing to call. There was only one thing to say. He's not getting up. Okay, he ain't gonna get up, and he didn't get up. If boxing had a 20 count, he wouldn't have gotten up. If there was a 30 count, he would not have gotten up. Right? Pacquiao was, you know, he got hit. He ran into the point. Like Marquez landed the perfect punch. Now, that thing would have rocked him even if he didn't run into it. But on top of that, he ran into it. Right? Marquez just timed that thing perfectly. And he fell face first on the mat. like that was like a 2-punch combination, like bah bah. But Pacquiao was out, right? Like that was NyQuil treatment, right? NyQuil treatment. I still think HBO are a bunch of assholes were filming Pacquiao's wife watching in horror, trying to reach the ring. Okay, who knows what she's thinking? I don't know why HBO gets off on that shit, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like, I still remember when Cotto was stopped in the Margarito fight, and was it? I believe it was Cotto's like wife holding their son while he's like sobbing and crying. Like, I'm just like, what is your little kid like doing watching this fight anyway? Okay. Second of all, why the hell is HBO like filming that? Like, anyway. Omar, that's a fact. Pac been lunging, just like when Morales whooped his ass. I challenged Pac's resume. David Diaz don't move me. He never beat Juan Manuel Marquez, not once. AJ 10. Pac got knocked down earlier in the fight. Yeah, he did. Now, he got knocked down. He got back up. I think he looked a little bit shocked. Marcus had some of that Mexican meat down in Mexico. Cows over there. I heard they're really, really strong. Anyway. Oscar's Batty man ass drain the Cotto, drain Margarita. Yeah, the Cotto fight was a catchweight. So was the Margarito fight. Yeah. Gorguru got Pac versus Juan Manuel Marquez. Both ducked Khan though, or rather, their trainers ducked Khan on their behalf. Oh. Believe it or not, if it goes decision, I think Khan beats Marquez. I think it's too quick. But I don't know, man. It's Khan's chin is so suspect. Like I'd put money on Marquez knocking him out. I'm just being honest. I'd put money on him knocking him out. Farno Barrera not buying what they're selling. Yeah. But Barrera was still on top of the world though. He's considered the man in the division. I don't know if we could say Marcus ducked Khan. I don't know about that, but I don't know about that. Khan is guilty of his own ducking, so everybody ducks somebody, you know. Everybody ducks somebody because not one person could fight like every single person in that weight class in the same night. You know what I mean? No, not everybody's waiting on each other, and then it's different dates. You fight on different dates. Yada yada yada. AJ 10 asking about Margarito. Is he fighting in Tijuana now? I don't know where Margarito's fighting. I know he's been fighting, but he recently challenged Eric Morales to a fight. So Morales said in response, I think he needs money, and I'll fight him, but all the money is going to go to a charity. So he doesn't want Margarito making a dime off of him. So anyways, guys, that's what I got for today. Don't forget to thumbs up the video. If you came in late, I talk about the topic and the title at the beginning. Could come back, watch when it gets posted on archive. Right? Margarito should call out Mayorga. I wonder, like, if that fight would sell. Maybe in Tijuana or freaking Nicaragua or some shit. I don't know, but I don't think that fight sells, man. I just don't think it sells. Gorgaruga, Marcus didn't duck Khan, but his trainer ducked him. He said he wouldn't allow Khan to use Marcus as a stepping stone. Well, Khan did have some of his performances, but Khan always did good when dudes couldn't hurt him. I don't know. Margarito just fought and won on cuts against Carson Jones. Wow. I don't know that. That recently, huh? In my opinion, Margarito should be banned from boxing, but nobody's really cares. He's so irrelevant now. So, all right, guys, this is DStyleBoxing, and I'm out.